Hey everybody, it's Eric from epautos.com, your libertarian car guy, and this is, I think, installment 21 of Life in the Corona States of America. And I'm going to do one of my regular flybys of the regional hospital just to see in person for myself whether the bodies are stacking up. We continue to be told that. Actually, we've been told that now for nearly 2 months, and that was the pretext for this sudden overnight imposition of a police state, unprecedented in American history, on the idea that there were going to be millions of casualties of corona. Well, here we go again. You guys have seen this scene before if you've been watching my videos. And as you see, there really isn't a whole lot going on at the hospital. This is the side entrance. I'm going to go now to the main entrance. At any rate, you'll remember when we were told by Fauci et al. To expect 2 to 3 million casualties of corona. That didn't materialize, and they ended up having to revise the estimate not once, not twice, but at least 3 times so far that I'm aware of. The initial 2 to 3 million was dialed back to 250 to 300,000, and I think the latest estimate is 60,000, and I would give no more credence to that than I gave to the 2 to 3 million or the 250,000. As you can see, there's nothing really going on here. There's some people who are exiting the hospital right now. They don't look particularly coroned. Are they even wearing masks? I can't tell from here. But they are ambulatory. I don't think they're hacking and spitting blood. They look like just hospital workers meandering around as normal as would be the case, as was the case pre-corona. I'm going to, whenever this light changes, if it ever changes, go around to the front of the hospital and have a look there. Let's just go ahead and do it. Anyway, so here we go. Here's the front of the hospital. And see if you can see any refrigerated trucks of corpses. See if you can see long lines of people waiting to be tested for corona. So there we go. There's the main entrance. You can see some people in scrubs, but they're just kind of casually walking in. Doesn't seem to be any imminent dire emergency. There's somebody wearing health theater masks to emphasize that we're in the midst of a crisis, but I really don't see any evidence of a crisis. Here's another guy wearing his corona mask and some more people wearing the corona masks, which is part of health safety theater. Make everybody look like, oh my God, we're gonna die. There's a horrible virus afoot. At any rate, my point is that we've been lied to so many times. Serial lying, which is, by the way, a characteristic of psychopaths and sociopaths. And that's not my opinion. That's a fact. Anybody who has been following politics these past 20 years alone, and I won't even go farther back than that, but let's just say the last 20 years, 9/11, weapons of mass destruction. You remember that one? Mushroom clouds? You remember that one? All a bunch of, frankly, bullshit. And that bullshit was used to terrify the populace into accepting things that would otherwise have never been accepted in this country and which have now become part of the normal course of American life, unfortunately. Because when you scare the crap out of people, tell them they're going to die, whether it's from ululating Islamic terrorists or some viral thing that they can't even see, yeah, a lot of them are going to crap their proverbial pants and beg to be saved from this bug. But the fact is, there were no weapons of mass destruction. And the fact is, there have been no Black Death level casualties. That's a fact. I've been saying this now for weeks. And what I've been saying has been borne out by the evidence. That's a key thing here, the evidence, the facts. Not just my saying it, not other people saying it, the fact that there have not been millions of casualties. There have not been hundreds of thousands of casualties. There have barely been, what is the number, 16,000 casualties so far, something like that. And yeah, that's a big number, but it's a hugely suspect number in the first place. But let's even say that every one of those 16,000 people was coroned and not the victim of old age or a stroke or a heart attack and happened to have corona in addition to that. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, that yeah, it was 16,000 people. 20,000 people a day die every day in this country from medical malpractice, misdiagnosis, and other forms of quackery that goes on at hospitals. and that goes unnoticed and certainly unlocked down. The country doesn't get locked down over medical malpractice. 40,000 people a year die in car wrecks. You can just go on and on and on. Why is this corona thing so spatial, as the church lady used to say? Why is the reaction to it so hysterical? It's just pure fear porn. They've been amping up this thing based on these worst case scenarios that have not materialized. And by the way, speaking of more dishonest stuff, it turns out that some of the news from New York has been grossly and deliberately manipulated, again for the sake of terrifying people. They've been showing there's an infamous clip circulating on the net of so-called mass graves in Central Park. It turns out it's just the sort of the Potter's Field burial place for people who don't have next of kin, don't have any money, and who are buried in common graves. I forgot the name of the island in New York, and that's been going on for many, many years. When people die in prison, for example, they die in these government old age homes and so on, and there's no kin, there's nobody to pay for their burial. That's where they get buried. And so, yeah, there are people dying, but that's actually not an unusual thing. People die every day. I think the figure is 150,000 people die every day. I forget whether that's worldwide or just in the United States, but the point is lots of people die every day. It's not abnormal. What's abnormal is shutting down the country and destroying the lives of millions of people on the basis of this fear propaganda, which I'm hoping to God that people begin to see through in time to arrest the progress of this thing, reverse it, and hold accountable the awful cretinous people who have been peddling this and pushing this and using all of this fear and terror to terrorize the population into accepting the unacceptable. Anyway, more over at epautos.com, the web's best libertarian gearhead site. Thanks for listening. Thanks for viewing. We'll catch up with you again soon.